Hi everybody, Mr. C here. Okay, I'm going to read a story from this book here, Fairy Tales from Far and Wide, and this one comes from the West Indies, and I think a lot of you know all about this rascal. And this one is Anansi and the Magic Pot. This is a story of how Anansi, the trickster, was tricked. One morning, Anansi was wandering through the forest towards the river when suddenly he almost fell over a pot lying in the path in front of him. It was a large round pot, smooth on the inside and with strange letters carved around the outside. "I wish I knew what the letters round the edge mean," he said out loud to no one in particular. "Fill the pot," said a quiet voice beside him. "Who said that?" asked Anansi. "Fill the pot," said the quiet voice again, and this time Anansi could have sworn it was the pot that had spoken. "Fill the pot," he repeated in astonishment, and before he had time to collect his scattered wits, the pot was filled to the brim with the most delicious smelling chicken stew. Being a greedy man, he promptly sat down and gobbled the whole lot up, without pausing for breath, or to think where the food might have come from, or indeed to whom it might belong. "That was a splendid feast. When can I have another one?" he said, without so much as a by your leave or thank you to the pot. But the pot replied quietly, "Just repeat the words, 'Fill the pot,' and you will have whatever you ask for. But you must never ever wash me out, or my magic powers will cease." Well, Anansi was so selfish he didn't even think about sharing his wonderful discovery with his wife or his children. He hid the pot under some bushes and went home as if nothing unusual had happened. The very next day he rushed to his hiding place. "Fill the pot," he demanded, and immediately it was filled to the brim with the most delicious roast pork and red beans. He polished off the lot and again didn't think of sharing his good fortune with anyone else. And so it went on for several days. Anansi would come out and command the pot to produce whatever he desired, eat it, and then return to his poor hungry family. Before long, however, his family became suspicious. "How come Papa eats the same as us and yet he gets fatter and fatter?" asked his eldest son. "Hush your mouth, child. Don't go talking about your papa like that," said Anansi's wife. But secretly she thought her husband must be up to his old tricks, and so she watched him carefully. One morning she followed him through the forest some way behind, and she saw him lift the pot out from behind his hiding place and then sit down to a huge helping of delicious smelling vegetable stew. My, she was cross, but she went home quickly and served up the family's usual frugal meal without saying anything about her discovery. The next morning, however, she rose very early while Anansi was still asleep and went herself to the hiding place. She took the magic pot from under the trees and had a very close look at it. "What has my tricksy husband been up to? This is a very beautiful pot, even though it is so dirty. Perhaps I should wash it. Someone will buy it from me, and we can all have good food to eat." So she took the magical pot, not realizing that it was magic, down to the river and gave it a good scour out. When Anansi woke, he was not surprised to find his wife missing. She usually rose long before him because she had so much work to do, and in any case he was too busy deciding what he would ask the pot for that day. You can imagine his dismay when he found that the pot was not in its usual hiding place. He looked everywhere, but the pot had vanished. He eventually gave up his search and went back home, feeling very disgruntled and very hungry. He was astonished to find his wife cooking a huge meal with all kinds of delicacies, such as their poor house had not seen for many a long day. "Wife, where did you get all this wonderful food?" he asked. "Well, husband, I had the most strange dream last night. I dreamt I found this beautiful pot filled with food hidden in the forest not far from here, and when I awoke this morning I went and I looked for it. And do you know, husband, there it was. Is that not amazing?" "Yes, yes, amazing," said Anansi desperately. "But what did you do then?" "Oh, I washed it out very carefully and took it to market, where I sold it for a great deal of money." "Are you not pleased with me, husband?" "We will have enough food for many a long day," she said proudly, but with a glint in her eye too. Of course, Anansi couldn't say anything without giving himself away, so he just went and sat in the forest for a very long time until he had recovered his temper. For once, Anansi the trickster had been tricked himself. Well, he should have been a bit more generous and shared, shouldn't he? Anyway, goodbye from Fairy Tales Far and Wide, and goodbye from Mr. C. Take care. Bye. Bye.